Awesome. Well, hey guys, I'm Allie Schultz, and this is my final presentation for this class. So the case study that I made was for the gauges, which is actually me and my fiance in like 3 years once we are married, and kind of the situation that we see ourselves in, if that makes sense. Alright. There we go. Alright, so this is us. So I'm currently working on my bachelor's degree in landscape design. Working at Wright Flowers in Springville, which is a floral design company. Jordan, he's a political science major studying at BYU, working as a attorney's aide in Provo. That is our dog Bono, who is one. And he's a freeloader who makes no monetary contributions to the family. Right now, in this scenario, which is 2 years in the future, we wouldn't have any kids, and it'd be right after we both have graduated. So, financial situation, our combined income is about $4,500. We'd want to live in either Provo or Springville, mainly because we have a bunch of connections and job stuff in Provo, but all of Jordan's family lives in Springville. I live in Arizona, and so it would be nice to be close to family in Springville. But if we end up in Provo, that's fine. It's a 10-minute drive. We preferably want 2 bedrooms, large kitchen, a fenced backyard for our dog, or one that would be able to fence, not close to loud roads. I lived in an apartment that was right next to a really busy road, and it sucks, and I realized that's not what I want. We have about $3,000 in savings, $10,000 in student debt. We own a 2006 Dodge Grand Caravan and a 1994 Saturn S. We both bought those from our parents, and they're paid off, so we're not making any payments on those. And our mortgage budget is about $1,125 a month. This dream home that we found is in Provo, Utah. So it's $232,500, which the price actually just barely dropped to its $228,500. So it dropped $4,000 since I took this screenshot, which is super nice for us since it is the dream house and it's a lower cost now. Oh, yeah, what's really nice about it is it's really super quiet neighborhood, which is something that we would like, especially if we were to have kids and raise them here. We want it to be kind of like a nicer place where they can play in the streets and not worry about like super big semi trucks, coming down the road every day. And yeah, this is the modest home that we found. Similar, it's 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. It does have a yard, and it's also quiet. It is closer to family, but it does have some features that we don't like as much. It's a little bit cheaper. The layout is a little bit smaller and more cramped, but it is modest and it would work for our needs. This is the monthly budget that we came up with. So we could afford about $1,125 per month on a budget payment. And as you can see over here, this is all of our expenditures. Fun stuff. So there's a savings plan for emergency and for a down payment. What was really nice about this family situation is it's just 2 young adults and a dog. A emergency plan fund for that is, obviously a big amount of money, but not nearly as much as if you had 10 kids that you would need to have more money for. And so it's been nice, I guess, being able to think this is a smaller amount, we can put that away. Buy 1 huge bag of dog food for food storage for Bono, and we're good. So mortgage and interest rates. So here's one that I found that was the best using 0 fees and 0 points. And that was actually something I noticed kind of like right off the bat is lots of deals look really good, but then you notice that there's like $3,000 in fees. It's like, oh crap, like that's where banks make all of their money. This is my glass that says promoted to Cougar that I got from Dollar Tree the first semester I came to BYU. Yeah, so we're looking at 4.125% fixed for, what was this, 15-year is what we found. And obviously this is a lot more than we could afford. It is the best rate we found, but not the best rate for our situation necessarily. So we want to go for a loan probably a 30-year that does have a lower principal and interest per month cost. Taxes with or without a home. So here's kind of the chart that we are all familiar with. Tax flow without a home, tax flow with home, double income, and that sort of a thing. So obviously we can see that when you do have a phone or a home, there's a lot more tax deductions you can make. But at the same time, it's a lot bigger of a financial burden, so there's a trade-off. Monthly homeowners insurance. So we're looking at $39 a month, which is $468 a year, which we got that from the Realtor.com calculator on the home itself. Transportation and debts. So what's really nice about this scenario is we both own cars that are paid off. So we're not making any car payments. We're just making payments on insurance and then, monthly payments for gas. Both cars have been fixed up. And they're old, but they run really well. They're really reliable cars. And so we're not looking at any like $3,000 a month costs to make repairs or anything like that. Which is super nice. Another thing is if either car does break down, there is the public transportation system, which is really cheap. They also have, most recently, BYU students, their cards are able to access UTA transport for free. And so they do have that as a backup, just in case anything goes wrong, but they still need to get to work and things like that. Other long-term debts that they have, about $10,000 in student debt combined, and then 10% per month in tithing on their income. They also have about $600 in credit card debt. But obviously there's a per month payment instead of paying it all at once. Alright, using the 36% rule, this is what we're looking at per month. We have principal and interest, which is $972, combined with tax and insurance, which is $78.38. We get $1,088 a month, which I have my calculations on a piece of paper over here. That's about 26%. Then add the 10% of tithing, and then we've got 36%. So with renting versus buying, there's obviously trade-offs with both. So like their entire married life, they've been just renting, which is what 99% of college students are doing. And now that they've both graduated, they're like, oh, like maybe it's time to buy a house. I don't know. So some pros of renting is, there's the obvious flexibility in location, in level of niceness, in, where you want to live, how long you want to live there, etc., etc. Cons of renting is you don't actually own your place. There's a lot of limits on what you can and can't do to your house. There's not a whole lot you can do. Lots of housing doesn't allow pets, which is hard for them. Pros of a house, obviously it's your own place. You can pretty much do whatever you want to it. You can have pets there if you want. The cons there, it's a pretty big financial, quest to take upon. If you're not fully prepared, if you don't do all of your researching, it can actually cost you a lot more money than you would need to spend on the house. Another con is if you're not ready to settle down necessarily, and if you're moving again within like a year, then you're going to be losing money on that house. So the principal, interest, tax, and insurance. This is a similar page than what we were looking at on the other slide. So altogether, it's $1,088 a month for this dream house. By the way, it's what we've been doing all of this data collecting on, is the dream house, because that's really what they would want. The cost between the dream house and the modest home is like basically the same, so we could expect similar results from the modest home as well. But what we're looking at is, again, the principal and interest, $972, property tax and insurance, 78 plus 38, grand total of $1,088 a month. Ooh, we got interest, 30 years, 15 years. As you can see here, it's like a little more than double for having a 30-year loan. So take the 15-year loan if you can do it. Homes, a good investment. Never buy a home if you're looking at it just as an investment. But it can be, depending on what point of life you're in. I know my brother, my sister, and my brother-in-law, their in-laws are in their 50s, and they have a bunch of homes that they bought, that they paid off, and they just have people rent them. And that's a really good investment, because they're not living in those homes. They're just renting them out and basically earning a whole bunch of money on them. But for this case, with these people, it's not necessarily a good investment to make. Just considering the situation they're in, it's not necessarily a great time to buy a house. They aren't necessarily needing to settle down. Overall, it's a unwise financial burden to take upon themselves, considering where they are in life right now. Yeah, bonds and stocks would be a better way to invest. Best housing options. So for the short term, I would definitely recommend that this case study family keep renting until they decide they want to have a baby and start a family. It would be best to keep renting. There's no need to settle down in this case. Plus, they still might go to graduate school because they just barely finished undergrad. And with that uncertainty in the future, it would be unwise to buy a house, because then you'd have to hurry around and sell that if you got accepted and had to go and move and start. And that's all we've got. So, yep. Hopefully it all goes well with that scenario.